Good morning, traders, and welcome to this morning's morning update. My name is Nishal Patel, and today is Thursday, the 18th of May, 2017. I hope you're very well this morning. It's just gone 8 o'clock here in London, and I think what we'll do is we'll just turn our attention to the key announcements that are due today. As you can see, we've got a mixed array of data and announcements coming out, everything from the Australian dollar to the euro. The data on the Australian dollar has already came out overnight during the European session. Employment data looks fairly strong, to be fair. It looks very good, but obviously giving mixed signals. For us, employment change was for the better on the Australian dollar, and as well as that unemployment rate. So labour statistics out from Australia look slightly positive. I'm not going to say they're immensely positive, but they never really had the impact that most people would have thought they would have. Really take dollar, the data out on the Australian dollar really is sitting on the back burner, and we never really saw the strength, and we'll see that on our charts in just a moment. We've also got news out on sterling on retail sales, as well as fortnightly unemployment claims coming out on the greenback, and that's followed later on this evening by the European Central Bank President Draghi having a talk. So a fair amount of news out today. Let's turn our attention straight to the charts and see how they're faring. So I think the first place we'll have a look at is the dollar index. Now, the dollar index, as we can see right now, floating at 90, just below 97.50. So 97.46 has been displayed on the chart at present, and many of you will probably see that it hasn't been this low since November last year. So the last time we had it in this region was back very early November, so it has fallen a hell of a lot. We've obviously seen a rapid slide in the greenback over the course of the last few days, but most certainly, as we can see on our chart by the illustration and the use of this trend line, we can see that the greenback has been taking has been falling somewhat after a few rallies, intermediate rallies in between, has taken a bit of a nosedive, and most of it has really come through the materialization, or I should say the lack of materialization from Trump's policies after he's come into his seat. Now, I think the pressure's really on now on Trump, and we've been saying this for a long time, but yesterday was the first reports of institutional selling of certain stocks, and we definitely had a huge slide on the American stock market when institutional traders have really gone against and have thought that the actual policies that Trump said he would be making, the reforms to tax policies that would benefit a lot of these companies, will probably not materialize. That has been compounded with definite controversy in the White House, and I think it's gone from a situation of potentially this is a conspiracy theory in that Trump has avoided being investigated into how he came into power, and also his ties with Russia, to it becoming a little more real. Let's put it that way. And obviously, with the sacking of the FBI chief last week, a lot of attention has come upon it, and I think a lot of people are really questioning it. And most certainly, the markets are definitely seeing this as turbulent. They don't think that a lot of these policies will come through, and what we've seen is we've seen a decline not only in the USD but also many of the equities, and that in turn has taken a knock-on effect direct to a lot of the stock markets. The Asian session was during the Asian session, the Australasian session, the markets were tumbling. The Nikkei dropped, ASX dropped, as well as some of the other key markets in Australasia, and already we've seen a decline here on the European Open. So that really has taken effect, and this is why we've seen on the Australian dollar right now, despite the fact we did have some fairly good statistics out from the labour side of the labour market out in Australia. We've seen a slight appreciation of the Australian dollar, and as we've seen on this continued or slightly deeper pullback, some would call it, on this daily time frame, the Australian dollar has picked up, and if we move over to that, to an hourly time frame, we'd see the spike straight after that data was released. Those two announcements were released, and the Australian dollar picking up the pace against the US dollar. Obviously, with the US dollar falling somewhat, probably would have, I think many probably would have expected to see a bigger uptake in the price, and definitely the price moving past that 74.50 area with absolute ease. Did have some stumbling blocks there. As we can see on the chart, we've got a weekly fib of the last weekly swing, and it's at the 50% retracement. So that's obviously going to be holding it somewhat, and many traders are going to be looking at that as well. Moving on forward, just having a look onto the euro. As we can see on this 4-hourly chart, euro has been relentless overnight, coming up to the 1.1170s, coming up overnight and hitting a high. And I'm just going to mark it out on our chart right now. Coming up, hitting a high of 1172, 1173, right now floating at 1139. So has fallen somewhat in the early part of this morning, but still looks very bullish. Potentially we could see the euro pushing back up to those highs again later on today, but let's remember we do have Draghi speaking, so again investors are going to be looking at that as well. So moving on forward, here's the yen. Having a look at on the hour chart right now, the yen is floating at 111, just above 111 right now, having this morning already come up and break the 1150. We're sitting pretty much just above 111 flat right now, and again we've seen the yen take we've seen the yen moves quite substantially over the course of the last few days, as you can see on this daily time frame here. Moving on to cable, and again what we'll do is we'll just flick this over to the daily time frame so we can see it we can see it in its honest truth and its bare format. As we can see, we're still in an area of consolidation after that bullish and aggressive bullish movement that we've seen over the course of the last few months. Slight consolidation, potentially looking for it to break out of that area and region. It is very much at a key level on that 1.29 level is key. I think what most traders will really be looking for is for cable to break that 1.3 mark, which would be a very bullish signal, which will technically followed by the uptrend as we've seen over the last few months. We should draw some good some good long positions onto it. Again, now moving on to the commodities, we've seen oil. We've seen oil bounce off that 200 moving average on this daily chart. Looking at WTI right now, failing to break $50 so far but still sitting just below $49 right now per barrel. But the big commodity mover would have to be gold in this respect. Right now, gold floating at 1256, having hit that high, which we've seen over the course of last night, just 1263. Obviously, we've got a slight risk aversion from investors, so obviously moving to a safer market in gold, and obviously we've seen the weakness in the dollar, so that together has driven the price of gold well above that 1250 region after having been floating in the 1230. So a move of around $20 per troy ounce on gold. Okay, guys, until next time, happy trading. Again, if you have any questions in regards to how you'd like to improve your trading, or anything that we do here at Phoenix Blue, feel free to send us an email at info@phoenixblue.co.uk. Thank you very much.